Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, I had a thought. What if I made Shen Shen? Does Shen Shen beat Tier? Well, I had to know. And then I read the card and realized, okay, it's not actually all that good, but it made me want to play Virtual World. So here is Virtual World. Once again, I think I just played it recently on a video, but we're back. Yeah, I think that this is one of the decks that is still pretty well positioned in the tier meta, being able to just utilize the specifically Shen Shen in general, as well as being able to like rip cards out of your opponent's hand and like look at your opponent's hand in particular for ripping cards out. That's very nice. On top of that, you know, going into Changing, being able to go into your Baron or what have you is all very good. So let's quickly do the card by card and what the deck is want to do. So first of all, for the hand traps, we're playing double DD Crow, triple Maxi, and triple Ash Blossom. Pretty simple, but yeah, effective. We're playing Ash Blossom mostly because we do lose to Maxi, so we do have to play that mini game. So there you go. If you lose to Maxi, you still got to play the Ash Blossom. It's basically only there for that. The Ash Blossom is also just good in general. Not the greatest, but good in general. Next up, we're playing one Nyan Nyan. This card is nice, but not the greatest. I normally summon it off of E-Telly, so there's that. Next up, I have triple Lulu, triple Gigi, and triple Lao Lao, and triple Lili. All of the monsters basically maxing out, or at least all of the monsters that can special summon themselves, except for, I think, Tutu, because it just has a mid effect. If you control all monsters or all monsters are a Psychic Worm, you can normal summon this without tributing. That's basically it. Not the greatest. But alas, there you go. So yeah, there you go. We're also playing the Adventure Package, the one Water Enchantress, double, or the one Griffin Rider, double Rite of Aramasir, the one Draco Pack, and the one Fateful Adventure. Then we are playing one Triple Tactics Talents, just a good card in general, and should probably be playing more of this because it does help you in kind of more dead hands, as well as being able to Forceful Sentry one of your opponent's cards is insane, and also Change of Heart is insane as well. Next up, we have the triple Kowloon to set our spells and traps, which gives us the ability to then utilize our monster effects to gain that advantage, special summoning themselves, and then potentially triggering additional effects, like a search, a special summon from the grave, or an additional send, or a search during the end phase, or a return from during the end phase. Then, of course, we have ourselves the Smoke Grenade and Kaiest package for the Power Tool Braver Dragon. I'm not going to lie, I really do hope that the that Smoke Grenade does, in fact, get banned. It's just a toxic card that is very old and probably deserves its banning, but alas, we shall see. It's currently not banned in the OCG, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets banned there as well, seeing as how this little interaction is something that is prominent there as well. Moving on, we're playing the two Keenlong. Keenlong is very good because if it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to search a card and then pitch a card from your hand. And then on top of that, there's a lot of ways to get into the graveyard or just on the field with something like a Kowloon, etc. We also have the Emergency Teleport. Guess what? These guys are psychics, so you can special summon a Virtual World that gives you a name for all of the rest of your Virtual World cards. We have the double Called By, we have the double Chuche, as well as the one Zhuanwu. These are level modulations in the grave, as well as this one is a Reborn. And then Chuche on the field is also able to pop a card by shuffling back 2 of your banished VWs. Moving on to the extra deck, we have ourselves one Stardust Charge Warrior, one Coral Dragon. We have the Jiju, or Zhui, I don't know how to say this one, I really don't. Jiu? I don't know. Anyway, I probably butchered that horribly. Virtual World Beast, JJ. This card is not necessary, but it does come up occasionally where you're able to basically get 2 Virtual World names onto the field, and then you want to link them off for something like a Lao Lao to get its effect, so you can, synchro them off while still having a Virtual World name. Basically, it's like, oh, you get to go Gigi into Lulu, or like Nyan Nyan into Lulu or something like that. You get them onto the field, then you need a Virtual World name for your Lao Lao so that you can still revive and get a 9 onto your field. It's also not bad, but not the greatest. Next up, we have a Vermilion Dragon Mech. We have Ravenous Croco Dragon Archosaur. This card, honestly, has never come up. It's not bad, it's just not great. It allows you to draw cards equal to the number of non-tuners used for its Synchro Summon, which could come up occasionally. You could maybe draw 2. You could it's most of the time just a draw 1, and it's a 9. And that's basically it. Realistically, I think that this card is very cuttable, but you don't really need too much in your extra deck, so you can play it anyway. We are playing 1 Charles as well as 1 Power Tool Braver Dragon for a possible 2 smoke grenade activations, which is very nice. We have the 1 Shen Shen. We have ourselves a Baron as well as a Supreme Sovereign, because we have 3 as well as a 7, which allows us to go into the 10s there. So you can use the Wandering Griffin Rider to go into 2 other cards. We also have a Final Sigma, because guess what? It's a 12, which is a multiple of 3, which means we can make it pretty easily. Putting it into the extra monster zone is also not that difficult to do. We then have ourselves 1 Break Sword. We have our Beatrice. We have a Thunder Gaia to stack on top of the Beatrice, and then 1 Zeus. So that's it for the deck. Let's show you how this deck performs. Alright, so here we are going first with basically just the Adventure Engine. So let's see how this goes. We're going to start off with Rite of Aramasir to grab up our Fateful Adventure, activate the Fateful Adventure to grab the Wandering Griffin Rider, and pitch the Kaiest. We're then going to Special Summon the Wandering Griffin Rider, which will then trigger the effect of our Fateful Adventure to grab the Draco back, the Ratable Dragon, and pass. Well, we do have 2 hand traps, so at the very least we could get something here. They're gonna activate the Pot of Extrav. We're going to negate it. They will then set 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, let's see how this goes. Well, we do have Draco back, so at the very least, we have the ability to deal with something. So yeah, we're going to try and bounce something. If that goes through, fantastic. We're then going to activate the Water Enchantress in order to grab up the Water Enchantress, and then, Fateful Adventure to grab up the Water Enchantress, which will then grab up the Rite of Aramasir. We're then going to normal summon the Nyan Nyan in order to trigger our Gigi. Gigi will then send to the graveyard a Keenlong, which will add a Lulu to our hand. We're going to pitch the Rite of Aramasir that we just searched. Activate the Lulu effect, targeting the Gigi, sending the Reborn in order to grab a Kowloon. This will allow us to now make a Coral Dragon, which will then be utilized to pitch the Maxi to pop another card. And is that Armory Call? Okay. We're going to go for a Vermilion Dragon Mech, activating the effect in order to draw into Lao Lao. That is quite possibly the best draw that we could have gotten, and that's a Storming Mirror Force. Interesting. We're going to then activate our Chuche with a Kowloon, which will then allow us to go for the Lao Lao to special summon a Gigi from the grave. We can then trigger a Nyan Nyan to special summon itself, and now go into a 10 with our token to go for Baron. We can then pop the second Storming Mirror Force, and then make another 10 with the Changying, spinning back our Water Enchantress for later use, and then proceeding to battle. What? 2 Storming Mirror Forces. Well, okay. Alright, here we are once again going first, and it's just the same thing that we did last time. But trust me, the game will be different. We're going to activate the Water Enchantress, and... oh, well, there wasn't any Ash. I was kind of almost hoping for an Ash. Out comes Maxi! That'll do! Alright, we're going to activate our Rite of Aramasir, and then we are going to activate in order to look at our opponent's hand, and that was a full grip of Sprite. If you didn't see it, it was blue, Jet Starter, and called by. Well, you know, sometimes your opponent is just better. But I do have the Cockroach, so I'm going to spin away the called by. They simply won't grab it. It's fine. We're going to activate the Fateful Adventure to grab up the Wandering Griffin Rider, sending the Cockroach to the graveyard and pass the turn. Now, notably, Wandering Griffin Rider is able to special summon itself on the opponent's turn, which is why we decided to go for that. We can also then activate our Fateful Adventure to equip the Draco back. So I'm feeling pretty confident. We also have DD Crow, which is very funny. We're going to activate the Maxi in Standby to play around Triple Attack. I know that my opponent doesn't have it in hand, but they could have drawn it for turn. Realistically, knowing that they have the starter, I probably shouldn't. Here was my thought process. I wanted to play around red and guarantee that the Maxi goes through. I'd rather have the Maxi go through than have the Wandering Griffin Rider. So I decided to fire off the Maxi, knowing that no matter what, the Maxi is going to activate and they are going to chain the starter to it. So there's that. And I also don't want them to normal summon and then potentially get a special summon because I'm not paying attention. So yeah, I just fire off the Maxi, out comes the red. That's pretty understandable. We're going to go and equip a Draco back, and then they're going to proceed to main phase. We're then going to activate on their normal summon of Sprite Jet. We were then going to activate our Wandering Griffin Rider, forcing out the negate and turning the negate off, but more importantly, getting that Jet out of there, forcing them to special summon and draw us additional cards. Hey, look, called by. That would have been useful, I'm sure. They're going to go for Sky Cavalry Centuria. Now, notably, Sprite, this Sprite player in particular, isn't the smartest cookie in the bag. Because they realize they can't go into Zeus and scoop it up. I don't want to tell you how long it took them to realize they can't make Zeus there, but it was a while. Good game. Starter has text on it. That's all. Alright, and here we are once again going first. Look, we just want to go first. It's fine. We're going to start off with the Fateful Adventure. Look, our deck does one thing, and it's the adventure line. We are now going to special summon. Just kidding, we are not going to. Just kidding, I drew it called by. So we are going to special summon using our emergency teleport. Luckily, we did draw that because we kind of needed to. I grabbed the non-tuner in the Yan Yan, which will then trigger the Draco back. I was supposed to add it to hand. That was a mistake on my part. I'm supposed to add it and then grab the Wandering Griffin Rider here, pitching the Draco back. But that's fine. We can now go and special summon our Wandering Griffin Rider after special summoning the Lao Lao, which the Lao Lao ended up sending a Zhuanwu. There you go. We then get to go for the Power Tool Braver Dragon and trigger the Smoke Grenade to look at our opponent's hand. And did you know that the sprites are Thunders? Yeah, they can just hard make Colossus. Activate Thunder Dragon, search out a Thunder Dragon. Yeah, now we have a Thunder. More specifically, a Colossus. So yeah, that's hilarious. Also, IDP? Huh? Sure, we're going to get rid of the Sprite Jet. That's terrifying. And then I'm going to pass the turn because I don't really have anything else. My opponent is going to start off with the Thunder Dragon. And then they are going to activate Thunder Dragon. And then they are going to grab up the last Thunder Dragon. They're going to normal summon what? Pheasant. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent with a direct attack, select a face of monster on the field and remove it from play until the end phase of this turn. Now, notably, I have a token. If they do that, the token is gone forever. I have to negate that. What? That's fine. It's totally fine. They're going to set a card and pass. Well, let's see if we can collect a lethal, and Lily is a great start. So we're going to start by bouncing the card, and it is the Ice Dragon's Prison. That's fine. They're going to target, I believe it was Lao Lao. So I'm going to target Lao Lao with my my own card and special summon it. This does force us to pitch the Lily, but hey, that is fine. We're going to grab up the Water Enchantress, which will then grab up the Water Enchantress, send the Water Enchantress, and then we can make Baron. We're then going to activate the effect of our Water Enchantress in the graveyard in order to grab up the Radavera Mesir. Radavera Mesir is going to activate in order to grab up our token, and then we can go to battle and deal 500 off of lethal. I do not know if there was any way in which I could have probably survived there, or not had, or had lethal, but alas, there you go. They tried to go to battle and end themselves their own way, and I decided, no, I will end this, not you. So we're going to switch the Ash to defense position, which they happened to draw and never use. They never use it. They had it last turn. They just chose not to use it. I don't know why. Don't know what's going on there. Anyway, we draw Lao Lao, which is funny, and then we are going to just pop the Ash and go to battle. Look, I'm not going to be mean. Well, I'm not going to be that mean. You don't get to end the duel on your terms. You end it on my terms. That's what we do here. Now, I have to show you this deck list because it makes my eyes hurt, and now you have to see it too. It's hilarious. Guess what? It's Thunder stuff. And that was a 1-of Watt Pheasant. I don't even know why we're playing this card. It's a 4. There are Watt cards that are level 2. They exist. You can play them. We chose not to. Actually, I might be lying. There might not be a Watt card that's a level 2. But I'm pretty sure there is. It might just be bad. Also, ignore the fact that there is branded in here, because it just makes sense. Just trust it makes sense that there's branded. Also ignore the fact that there is a Dino-Ishus and whatever this is. I'm going to just leave this here with you guys for a second. And then I'm going to show you that there's Future Visions. Look, this game is amazing. 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Truly, they are breaking the meta. And we're back with the deck, and in all honesty, I did have a few games against Ishizu tier. None of them were all that interesting. Look, if you are able to look at your opponent's hand half of the time, you are just going to immediately win. That's just how it works, right? You know exactly what you have to interact with and what you don't. It's pretty simple, and it's pretty nice. On top of that, just so many people just immediately surrendered as soon as I saw a VW card. They were like, I don't want to deal with that, and that's understandable. So a lot of the games were pretty mid, even though I was playing against things like Ishizu tier and what have you. So there you go. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.